Good morning, traders. Welcome to the Bookmap Platform Details webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap, and the risk disclaimer: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. The goal of the webinar here is to introduce you to Bookmap, define what it is, the traders that use it, how to connect it to the markets, how to subscribe to it, and then look at the live market and define the general elements that are on the Bookmap chart, and start to look at some of the basics in the order flow, what Bookmap is showing us, and how to use it. Okay, so when you subscribe to Bookmap, it comes with education. Okay, there's a 4-part educational course that you get. You can access that at any time, and then that same content is gone through in the live advanced order flow webinars that start immediately following this webinar at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Okay, the goal in that webinar is to go through live order flow analysis and go through the same content that's in the course, the educational course, so that you can see it in the live market and know what to do. Based on our analysis in the live market, we start to anticipate where future price movement might go, just objectively based on the order flow and the process we go through. So that is a nice combination for the education. You get the 4-part educational course, and then you get the advanced order flow webinars so you can see it in the live market. All right, so let's jump into bookmap.com and quickly go through it. What is Bookmap? Okay, we're a trading platform. We have a unique way of visualizing the market data. That's our edge here. Okay, so you can, there's quick videos here you can watch. Who uses Bookmap? Well, day traders, scalpers, swing traders, and quants trading algos in high frequency environment. Okay, so really quite a few. It's not just for scalping or looking at very low time frame data. Okay, there's a lot of traders on much higher time frames that are using this. So the reason being is very simple. It's just we're recording the order book, the depth of market, and we're showing it. It's still useful on a higher time frame. Okay, you can read more about getting the edge here with Bookmap, the different features. We're going to go through that in this webinar, so ask questions if you have any. And then connectivity, so we'll stop here and define the different markets that Bookmap connects to. So digital currencies, okay, that data connection is free. US equities and futures markets. So 3 different types of markets. Now for the futures and for US equities, you will need to provide the data. Okay, we're not a data provider nor a broker. We're just software. Okay, and you can connect US equities with DX feed right here. Okay, that's the only way you can connect US equities. For futures, there's lots of different ways. Okay, you can connect with Rhythmic, CQG, Gain Capital, Transact, IQ Feed, Nanotick, and Cedro for the Brazilian markets. Now, I skipped over these 3 platforms here. You can also connect via the API of TTX Pro, NinjaTrader, as well as Interactive Brokers, and there are many traders that do. Okay, we recommend that you connect directly to the data provider if you can. You'll just get a bit cleaner data. It won't go through the API of another platform. All right, scroll down a little bit further. Now you know how to connect, and then here's how you get Bookmap. All right, so there's different packages that are available. You can subscribe yearly or you can subscribe monthly. Just click on the tab here. And then you can see there's a couple different digital versions and a couple different global versions. Okay, so let's define digital and global. Digital is only for digital currencies. Global is for all the markets. Okay, for futures, digital currencies, as well as US equities. Okay, so you can see the digital version over here is free. It's limited. You get free data to one digital currency, and that market is always open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you can always check out a live market. and understand what Bookmap looks like. Now, for those that are trading equities, you also get US equities delayed data feed here. For those of you who are trading futures, well, you can replay a recorded data file from futures if you want to just check it out and see what some of the futures markets look like. Now, it's an older file, but still gives you access and you can understand what you're looking at. If you really want to see it in the live market, then just subscribe for a month to the global version here. You can cancel at any time. All right, so that's the digital version. You only get basic education and limited support as well. The Digital Plus version, you get full education and full support. You can connect to up to 20 different digital currencies for a variety of different currency exchanges. You can record and replay your data, and you can trade right from the Bookmap chart into a live GDAX or BitMEX account. That's what you get with the Digital Plus version when you subscribe. Okay, now the global version here, all this means is that it includes everything in Digital Plus, but you have the capability to connect to futures and US equities markets. And that's the big difference there. All right, now the Global Plus version includes everything in global. However, you also get our add-on indicators. One is functionality to trade from the Bookmap chart into a live futures or US equities account. And then you can see our cache of add-on indicators that very specific proprietary indicators looking at order flow phenomena. So for example, the large lot tracker, we're looking at the order book and we're identifying larger players who are holding the majority of liquidity at that price level. We have an algo that can detect that. Imbalance indicators for the book and for volume, iceberg detector or tracker. Again, looking at larger players, our algo can detect when a larger player is starting to use an iceberg order. We have a correlation tracker that you can add different markets onto the Bookmap chart and look for different correlations. And let's jump over here, just a few more things and we'll get to Bookmap. You can follow us here at our Twitter feed at bookmap_pro. All sorts of good information here every day. It doesn't look like we posted today, but probably will a little bit later. And then our YouTube page, you can subscribe here and just go through some of the playlists on the front page here. Okay, for those of you who are new, there's an intro playlist here, very short videos. Features and components, okay, to understand all the different features in Bookmap, you can click here on the playlist heading and look at some of those. The order flow video snippets, this is where I'd recommend you watch these. I think this is where you're going to start to understand what Bookmap is showing you, the advantage you're getting, and how to use it. Okay? So we go through order flow phenomena here that Bookmap can uncover and visualize. Very short videos, but get right to the concept of some of these order flow phenomena that Bookmap can uncover. All right, this is what we go through in the advanced order flow webinars in a lot of detail. Okay, let's jump into Bookmap and take a look. We're going to take a look at the NASDAQ E-mini. And well, we're in the heart of summer and there's not a lot of data this week. So there's CPI data on Friday. I think there's a PMI, inventories or something like that on maybe Wednesday. Yeah, not looking for a lot of moves. It's mostly geopolitical tensions that are kind of moving the market a bit with trade tariffs with China. Anyway, we'll take a look and see if there's not a lot going on here. We'll jump over to maybe crude oil, see how that's going. This looks pretty decent. It's still moving here. What are you looking at here? Well, let's define the elements. Okay, so there's 3 elements on this chart, and I'm going to go through the process here of showing a candlestick chart and taking all of the Bookmap data off, and then adding 1 element at a time here, so that you guys understand what you're looking at. Okay, and our iceberg detector, we can take that off. Okay, well, here we have a 15-minute candlestick chart. Okay, every 15 minutes, a period or a candle is painted, and there's 4 data points on this. Let's make it a 5-minute candlestick chart. I think that's show a little more data here. There we go. Okay. So every 5 minutes you get another candle, but it's only showing 4 data points: open, high, low, and close. Okay, very, very opaque. We don't know what happened within that 5-minute period. We have no idea. We have no clue where the volume traded, how much, where exactly, what type, and that's really important information. We want to know that information. We also don't have the order book, like where are they bidding and offering? We're only seeing traded price and only 4 points of traded price. And so we're really kind of guessing by looking at the candlestick chart. You know, there's all sorts of different ways of reading these things, and you know, you can see a shooting star pattern up here, and you know, kind of followed through. It went to the downside to the bottom of the range here, spiked below it, and is back up in the range. So you know, some of these things they still follow through, but there's so many times when you see this here in Bookmap, and it just doesn't matter what the candlestick is showing at all. If they're bidding up in underneath this area and there's a lot of aggressive buyers still, this candlestick pattern is going to fail very, very quickly, and it's going to continue on up to the upside. In fact, the candlestick could look like a retest back to this level where it traded from, and then look for that extension to the upside. Okay, so very, very deceiving by looking at this, because we have no insight to the data that's going on here. There's 3 elements on the Bookmap chart, basic elements. One is just showing historical best bid and offer. Okay, and there it is on the chart. The advantage here of that is it's not aggregated data. Okay, we can see what happened within these 5-minute periods. Okay, so let's zoom into that area we were looking at earlier. Okay, between these 2 5-minute periods here, well, this is really what occurred. The candle closed up here. It dipped down a little bit, right? And then price, basically, if we look back here, we can see that it actually stayed within a range. And then it broke out right here. It broke out of that range, and it accepted higher. Okay, and what we get actually is another breakout of this little microstructural range, and then it accepted higher. Okay, so we can see that you know, this is bullish movement. We are trending higher. Okay, and you can see the pullback here, not even to where it kind of broke from. It comes back up, trades into the range, and trades to the other side of the range. Okay, so now we're getting a much more clearer picture of what happened within this candlestick, okay, just by showing best bid and offer. Now we really want to understand the transactions. Okay, what happened? Where did they occur? How much volume traded? What type of volume? So let's turn on the volume dots, and now we're getting into some of the order flow. Okay, we're starting to understand what's going on. All right, and this is very typical here of an uptrend. Right, this is not going to be seen on your footprint charts and your you know, your bar charts. You don't get this kind of insight because you don't get microstructure combined with volume to give you the insight of what's really going on here. You're going to see, you know, your maybe your 5-minute bar here and the volume very precisely recorded, but you won't understand the structure and how volume is relating to that structure, and that's why we get this uptrend. Okay, look at the volume dots here. Okay, the green dots are aggressive market buy orders that take liquidity off of the best bid. Okay, or best offer. Let's zoom in, and I'll just show you these 2 elements in some detail here. Okay, so here we go. Here's the best offers, the red line. Green line is the best bid. Okay, that's the history of the auction here. Now the green dots are aggressive market buy orders. Someone hit the market buy button, they crossed the spread, and they took liquidity off of the best offer. They didn't provide liquidity, they took it. Okay, red dot is the opposite. They're selling, market sell. Okay, now we're recording this data very, very precisely. In fact, we can zoom into these areas, and I'll show you that we can zoom in and we can get resolution here down to the nanosecond level. Basically unlimited zoom here. Okay, so we can see precisely what happened here and what traded. Okay, now we don't trade at those levels, and we saw a little bit of latency there, but which is typical between quotes data and trade data when there's flurries of activity. So we don't trade at those levels. So you can see we aggregated the data here into a bigger dot, but you can still zoom in and get all of the information. Okay, now we're going to hover over that dot with the data tip tool here, and you can see that we get the date, the time, what was here in the spread, and then the volume that traded here this is for a volume of 23 contracts. All right, so that's what we're showing in terms of volume, this is just how price unfolded. Okay, best bid and offer and where the volume traded. And what we can draw or take away from that though is pretty powerful. Okay, very typical in an uptrend. More aggressive buying, buy volume at higher highs, price discovery to the upside. Okay, now look at the lower highs. Or the higher lows down here on the downside. There's actually a little bit of volume that's trading there, but look at the clusters of the buying. Okay, compared to some of the other areas down here, there's a lot more. Okay, you can see it in here. You can see it in here. Yeah, even in these areas up here, there's just more buying coming into the market. Okay, and it pushes price upwards as they sweep the book higher. All right, so that's what we're seeing in this uptrend, which is very typical. Okay, so now understanding the volume is very important, but there's a whole nother side to order flow that's just not seen here. Okay, and that's what's happening outside of the transactions. What's happening outside the transaction is the auction. Where are they bidding and offering? Okay, we're seeing the transactions that's meeting the bid and the offer, right? And that's it. So it's very, very one-dimensional here. So we've gone over the first element, which is historical best bid and offer. Second is the volume that traded there. Third is going to be the heat map. Okay, and here's the heat map. Okay, now this is where people get a little confused and don't quite understand what they're looking at here. Okay, and it looks very like a lot of information here. It's really pretty straightforward here. We can read and understand the context of the order book. Okay, the DOM, your depth of market. Let's go to the current market and we'll take a look here. Okay, and let's get rid of the candlestick chart at this point. All right, so everything to the left of this vertical white line here is historical. Okay, this is what happened. Everything to the right is the current market. This is what is happening right now. Okay, so we can see this is the best bid and offer here. This white and green number is the last traded volume. And then we have our price ladder here. Okay, and then for those of you who are familiar, trading from a DOM, well, this is your DOM here in Bookmap. Okay, the COB column, it stands for current order book. All right, and these numbers here, well, it's liquidity. These are contracts. Traders providing contracts up in these areas where they want to be sellers, okay, above current price. Down below, they want to be buyers, okay? And they're lining up in the order book to trade at those levels. Now, what we're doing in Bookmap is we're taking these numeric values, the higher values, and we're painting them in the heat map. Okay? So higher levels get this kind of orangish or reddish color, as you can see here. Okay, now the scaling is over here, so that orangish reddish is on the right-hand side, and then less liquidity is yellow, then white, then blue, and then black. Okay, so we can now start to understand when these numbers change, the heat map will change. Okay, but it's recorded, it's plotted on the chart historically. So we just saw like these little striations here of higher liquidity, and they're still kind of bouncing around back and forth here up at 06. And we can also start to extrapolate and understand the intent of these traders at these areas. Do they want to trade or not? And actually, we can just answer that right now. Okay, they just swept the book higher out of the blue here. Here was their action. They absolutely did not want to trade. Okay, they pulled this liquidity here, as you can see. Okay, so high liquidity, it's here on the offer. As price comes up, they pull and they pull. Okay, we see clusters of activity that took place here, and on the lower time frame, very lower time frame, some of it's traded in here. It has to, but the majority of it is pulled. Okay, and we know that. That's fact. Okay, we also know when it does trade. Okay, and we can show you an example of that. Okay, so we're starting to now understand liquidity. Okay, using our DOM, our depth of market, not for just the current market. Okay, but for the historical market, and starting to understand their intent to trade at these areas. This area here, for example, let's see here. Well, we see, 29 contracts traded, and what was the liquidity over here is 34. So you can see that they pulled a lot of this liquidity, and they're trading into and lifting the offer, okay, and traded through that area there. Okay, so there's a lot of pulling here, so not much commitment here in the order book. So we're starting to now, we can actually take that data, and it gives us insight and starting to understand condition of the market right now. There's not a lot of traders that are willing to actually commit here by staying in the book and letting their orders get filled here. They're pulling and they're probably adding up to higher prices here, but we can judge that and be pretty certain when they're actually doing that. And don't see that kind of certainty here at the moment. Okay, I know these guys are probably pulling here and then adding higher and then pulling and adding higher, but we'll see it a little bit clearer. Here they are on the bid. See how they're kind of like the stair-stepping action here, pulling and then adding a tick higher. Yeah. So they're just kind of following the market back and forth, basically, okay, without any sort of commitment here. All right, so pretty fickle. We kind of started the day off by getting kind of bigger overview of what's going on fundamentally and what this market might do. Now, that's fine. If you don't look at the fundamentals, that's fine, doesn't matter. But you can start to put together that picture, and it might be fib levels that you're looking at, or it might be candlestick patterns that you're looking at, but you can start to put that picture together with the liquidity and the traded volume. And that's really where this is helpful, is really starting to understand bigger picture technical analysis with what's going on in the order flow here. Okay, and that can be good on higher time frames too. Let's zoom all the way out. Okay, and now we can start to use our depth of market here on much higher time frames. Okay, well, look at these guys up here at 74.20. Okay, there was some interest early pre-market around 7:30 a.m. Eastern time, and they started to add in a little bit later here around a little bit higher and a little bit later here around 74.20, just before the cash open. Okay, now we traded through that area just a little bit. Okay, and then we reversed. Okay, so we're starting to understand this is, larger players up in these areas here, and looks like some of this transacted. Let's zoom in and verify that and know for certain that these areas traded here. Okay, and did they stay in the book? And here's our answer. Okay, yes, they did trade. So like the example I showed previously, okay, very different here. See how the high liquidity staying in the book and it's actually transacting. So these traders wanted to trade. They're short at these areas here. There's more buyers that traded through that area. Okay, they didn't absorb it all that buying pressure. There was more buyers. Okay, but they got what they wanted and they are short, and that's fact. Okay, we don't reach any other higher levels up here in terms of liquidity, and we start to rotate low and find some sellers, and they drive it down pretty hard and pretty fast. Okay, but we're starting to understand the context here, right? And putting that together and using our DOM in this instance here on much higher time frames, much bigger picture. Okay, so we can also zoom in and use it on much smaller, lower time frames here as well. Like these guys are pulling here and we're finding buyers. Let's see if they can trade it right up into 12 now. Okay, and maybe even 13. Okay, at 11.5, they're coming back in now. So that picture kind of changed. It kind of flipped. Looks like they had a little more interest here now at this area. And we can see that actually sellers are reading that and they're starting to hit the bid here, okay, and driving price lower. Probably find some buyers down here. Lack of sellers here. Look at the sellers just exhausted out. Buyers are stepping in. Let's see if they can get back up into maybe this little range here around 10.5, maybe up to 11 or 12. Nope, not yet. More sellers. Okay, so let's see if the sellers, if they still have the power, now they're going to try to bring it down into like 06 here, maybe 05, and maybe 04 here. But I like this area here where these buyers initiated this move. They are in control at that point. So I'm looking for those buyers to come in maybe down here. Okay, so we're just about there. There we are. Now let's see if the sellers dry up. Find the buyers. Here they come. Okay, let's see if there's a lack of selling in here. Yeah, more or less. Let's see if they can get it up to 09 and a quarter here then. Okay, and those guys are pulling now as well. Well, it's really fickle. I mean, they're kind of pulling and adding back and forth. But let's see the buyers come in and see if they can drive it up maybe into 10 then. Okay, look at that skew in the book. I don't know if you guys just saw that. See how they're bidding up in these areas, showing interest at a higher level to buy. And that, look at the effect it had on price. All right, so there's our move up into 09 at least. And some traded up there in 09, and now the sellers are right back down into the bottom of the range. Okay, so it's back and forth as you can see, but we're starting to read and understand the liquidity and the context of the volume together. Okay, and we're getting a complete picture now of the order flow. What if we didn't have that heat map? Well, we're just kind of shooting away at it. We don't really know. I mean, I like very much footprint charts. I have nothing against them. I just think that you get a lot more insight when you start to understand the order book and the context of that volume with the liquidity. That's what gives the insight. Okay, and most charts just don't have that. So when we have the heat map on here, now we have microstructure. Okay, with the historical best bid and offer, the volume, it precisely where it traded in that microstructure, and then we have the heat map here that gives you understanding of where they're bidding and offering and their context of being very aggressive, really intent to trade and trading, or no intent to trade and pulling their liquidity. All right. All right, well, let's wrap it up. For those of you who are registered, we'll see you in the next webinar in just a minute here, okay? Otherwise, we'll catch up with you tomorrow.